Most people think addiction looks like one thing: a guy under a bridge, a needle in an arm, someone completely gone, begging for change outside a gas station. But that's level 7. What about level 2? Level 4? Today we're going through all 7 levels of addiction. Level 1, curiosity. Alright, level 1. This one's almost sweet. Because at level 1, nothing feels wrong. Nothing is wrong, really. It's your first drink at a party. A Xanax a friend gave you when you couldn't sleep. A cigarette outside a concert. Maybe a leftover perk from a surgery that you tried one night just to see what everyone was talking about. The most common stuff here: alcohol, weed, nicotine, prescription pills that were actually prescribed to you at some point. Normal, everyday things that millions of people try and just move on from. Your brain gets a little dopamine hit, files it away like noted, that was good, and that's kind of it. You don't think about it for weeks. And here's the thing, at level 1, you genuinely have control. That's real. But your brain has also just taken a snapshot of exactly how that felt, and it keeps that snapshot forever. Every single person who ends up at level 7 started right here, no exceptions. Level 2, the routine. Level 2 is where it starts to quietly settle in. And honestly, this is the one where I think a lot of people watching are probably sitting right now. You're not using every day necessarily, but it's become regular. Every weekend, every Friday after work, every time something stressful happens, or you just can't wind down. For a lot of people, it's still the soft stuff here. Alcohol mostly. The after-work drink that's somehow become 3. The wine with dinner that's become a bottle. Or weed. The nightly smoke that you genuinely believe you could stop anytime. You just don't really want to. Nicotine fits perfectly here too. The person who only smoked socially has quietly bought their own pack. Adderall starts showing up. Prescribed for focus. Now you just sort of need it to feel like yourself. Xanax for anxiety that you're now taking before situations where you might get anxious, just as a precaution. You tell yourself it's casual, recreational. And look, at level 2, it probably still is, but your brain is slowly rewiring around this thing, building little highways toward it every single time. And the scariest part about level 2 is that it looks completely normal, from the outside and from the inside. Nobody's worried about you yet, including you. Level 3, the dependency forms. Okay, level 3 is where something shifts, not dramatically. It's not a movie moment, it's subtle, but it's real. This is where the early dependency starts forming, and the big tell is this: you're not using to feel good anymore. You're using to feel okay. Without it, something's off. You're irritable in a way you can't explain. Sleep is rough, you're foggy and distracted and just kind of edgy. The day doesn't feel right until you've had it. At this level, alcohol is still the main player for a lot of people, but the pattern has changed. It's not about relaxing anymore. It's about maintaining. You're having a drink to take the edge off in situations where you never would have before. Weed users at level 3 can't really enjoy a movie or a meal or a social event without being high first. Cannabis dependency gets dismissed a lot, but it's real. The anxiety and irritability when you stop are genuinely uncomfortable. Prescription benzos like Xanax or Klonopin are doing something sneaky at this level. Your brain is physically adapting to them, down-regulating its own calming receptors because it's outsourcing that job to the pill. You don't feel dependent, you just feel like you need it to be normal. Stimulant users, Adderall, Vyvanse, even cocaine casually, are starting to notice the crash hard. The low after the high is getting lower each time. Here's the important thing about level 3. The dependency is forming, but the life is still mostly intact. You're functioning. Nobody's staged an intervention. You probably haven't even admitted it to yourself yet, but the foundation is cracking, and level 4 is where it gives. Level 4, the tipping point. Level 4 is the one I really want you to pay attention to, because this is the tipping point. This is where casual use becomes something else entirely, and a lot of people cross this line without ever knowing they did. Before level 4, you could have turned this around with some willpower and maybe some help. After level 4, you're in a different game. Your brain chemistry has shifted in ways that don't just snap back. So what does level 4 actually look like? The lies start getting elaborate. Not just, I only had 2 drinks. but constructed, detailed cover stories. The hiding gets more sophisticated. Money starts disappearing in ways that don't add up. Alcohol-dependent people at this level aren't drinking for fun anymore. They're drinking before noon to stop their hands from shaking, because the body has adapted to expect alcohol, and without it, withdrawal hits. And alcohol withdrawal is genuinely one of the most dangerous there is. Like, it can actually kill you. Seizures, heart failure. Most people have no idea. Benzo users hit the same wall. Xanax and Klonopin physically change your brain chemistry over time. Stopping cold turkey can cause seizures and psychosis. The pill prescribed to treat anxiety has now created a biological need for itself. Stimulant users are crashing so hard that normal life feels gray and flat and completely pointless without it. The dopamine system is getting worn down, and this is the level where escalation kicks in hard. The thing that used to work isn't working the same way anymore. Tolerance has built up, so people start using more often, or starting to look for something stronger. That search for something stronger is what opens the door to level 5. Relationships are fraying. The world has gotten small. There used to be a lot of things that mattered. Now there's really just one. Level 5, the hard stuff. Level 5 is where the hard drugs fully enter the picture and where things get genuinely dangerous in a way the earlier levels aren't. Because at level 4, tolerance has built up to the point where the usual stuff isn't enough. Pills aren't cutting through. Alcohol takes more and more to feel anything, and something stronger is always available if you know where to look. This is where heroin enters for a lot of opioid users. It started with Vicodin or Percocet after an injury or surgery. Totally legitimate. Then the prescription ran out, the pills got expensive, and someone offered heroin, and it was cheaper and stronger. That's not a moral failing, that's just supply and demand doing terrible things to vulnerable people. And then there's fentanyl, and I have to spend a second on this because it genuinely changed everything. It's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. A dose the size of a few grains of salt can kill someone without tolerance. And users at level 5 often don't even know they're taking it. It's pressed into fake pills, cut into cocaine, mixed into everything. You can be at level 5 and die in a single use, just because the batch was different than the last one. Meth enters the picture here for a lot of people too. Maybe it started with Adderall or Coke, but meth is cheaper, and the high lasts longer. Users at level 5 might be awake for 2 or 3 days straight. Paranoia bleeds into everyday life. Hallucinations start. The body is running on nothing. Crack cocaine, the cheap smokable form, shows up here too. The high is intense and lasts maybe 15 minutes, which means you're using constantly, chasing something that keeps slipping away. And polydrug use becomes really common at this level, mixing things to balance each other out. Heroin to come down from meth, benzos to manage the anxiety from cocaine. The body becomes a chemistry experiment. The physical damage is starting to become visible and measurable. Collapsed veins, infections, weight loss that's hard to explain away, the face changing. Level 5 is where people often have their first real brush with death, either their own or someone right next to them. Level 6, consumed. At level 6, the person is mostly gone. Relationships, gone. Job, gone. The body is broken in ways that aren't possible to hide anymore. Opioid and fentanyl users are injecting multiple times a day just to not be sick, not to get high, just to function. They need hundreds of dollars to get through a single day, and that math doesn't work with any legal income. So, things happen to make the math work that a person at level 1 would never imagine. Alcoholics at this stage are drinking around the clock just to prevent withdrawal that could kill them. The liver is failing, jaundice, fluid building up in the abdomen, confusion setting in. Some develop a brain condition from nutritional deficiency, where they lose coordination, their eyes stop working right, and they can't form new memories. Meth users can have permanent psychosis at this point, even when they're sober. The dopamine system is so damaged that the brain can't self-regulate anymore. Some of that doesn't fully come back, even with years of sobriety. And here's the thing that really gets me about level 6. A lot of these people know. They're watching it happen from the inside, fully aware, and they can't stop. That's not weakness. That's what a completely hijacked brain chemistry looks like. Intervention can still work here, but it has to come from love, because shame doesn't fix this, it accelerates it. Level 7, the point of no return. I'm not going to make this dramatic. Level 7 is where the body just stops. For opioid and fentanyl users, it's usually an overdose. The drug tells the brain to stop signaling the lungs to breathe, and it happens quietly, in sleep, alone, often without any warning. Over 80,000 people died from opioid overdoses in 2023. Most of them were someone's kid, someone's parent, someone's best friend. For alcoholics, it's liver failure, or a seizure, or a stroke, or just the long, slow accumulation of damage finally adding up all at once. For meth users, it's usually the heart, forced to run at dangerous speeds for years until it gives out, or it's a mental break that never fully resolves. I do want to say this though, people come back from level 7. That's real. The brain is remarkable, and recovery is possible at any stage. People have come back from situations that looked completely hopeless. But the window gets very, very small here, and often the people who loved them have already had to start grieving while they're still alive. This video isn't here to preach or scare anyone. It's here to shed light on the darker side of addiction. Nobody picks up a drink at level 1 thinking they're starting a journey to level 6. It just doesn't work like that. It's slow, it's quiet, and it takes advantage of the parts of us that are just trying to feel a little better. If you saw yourself somewhere in those levels, even just a little, that's worth sitting with. That recognition means something. And if this video hit different for you, share it. You never know who needs to see it at exactly the right moment. Alright, take care of yourselves. I'll catch you in the next one.